Okay, good morning everyone. So today's topics as part of AWT controls. So you know what are controls, right? So what are AWT controls? Any GUI component like text box, text area, text box in Java is called as text field, text area, buttons, scroll bars. So all these are called as AWT controls. Okay, so already we have seen some few controls in the previous class. So today let us see few more controls today. So we'll be dealing with uh, today first we'll deal with the text field, then next we'll deal with text area. Okay, so we are going to deal these two. If time permits us, then we'll also see checkbox. Okay, uh, and further if the time permits, we'll also see checkbox group. So checkbox group is nothing but radio button. So in Java, instead of using the term radio buttons, we'll be using the term checkbox group. So simple checkbox is checkboxes, whereas checkbox group is radio buttons. Okay, so let us start with text field. So what is a text field? A text field is an AWT component. It's an AWT component, or you can call it as AWT control, which allows user to text a single line. Okay, so what is a text field? Using a text field, you can the user of the application can type a single line of text in it. And coming to text area, it is also an AWT control using which we can uh, which allows user to text multiple lines, right? So that's the difference between text area and text field. Text field will allow the user to text only or type only one line of text. You can restrict the number of characters for that one line. And coming to text area, it allows the user to type multiple lines. So the best examples for these text area, text field and text areas are any web application or a sign-in page or login page in any web applications like Gmail or Amazon, right? So where you will be typing your username and password in a single text box, right? Where you can type only one text. So that is an example of text field. And coming to text area, when you are composing an email using any any email application, like for example, if you take Gmail, so after you type the address of the person to whom you wish to send the email, you will be typing their email ID subject, and then later below that you will get a big rectangular box where you can type multiple lines of text, right? So that is an example of text area. So let us see how to create these two, that is text field. First one is text field and second one is text area, right? So with two different programs, one program for text field and one program for text area. And if and if time permits, let us also see checkbox and checkbox group.
Sir, your voice isn't clear, sir. It's low.
It's very low. Pratham Jain, please mute your audio. Okay, let me. So now is that clear, Harita?
Yes, sir, now it's clear.
Okay, fine. Okay, please, I request everyone to mute your audio. Text field is an AWT control which will create a component that is a rectangular box where you can type only one line of text. Whereas text area, it is similar to text field, but you can text more than one line of text here. Okay, so that is a difference between text field and text area. Best example for text field and text area is you'll find in any email application. So when you want to send an email to your friends, you'll be typing their email id, your friend's email id in one rectangular box, so which will allow you to type only one line, and similarly subject also will allow you to type only one line. So these two are examples of text fields. Coming to text area, the actual content where you type your email, right? So that where you will be able to type multiple lines of text, that is an example of text area. So let us see today two programs, one for demonstrating text field and the other one for demonstrating text area. Fine. So let me show you that programs. So now this is a program for text field, right? Is that visible to everyone? And am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So this program demonstrates creation of text fields, right? So as you know, we have done it in the previous programs, we need to import these three packages: java.awt, java.awt.event, and java.applet. Fine. So we know that we have been creating windows using applet. So we are creating a class called text field demo by extending applet class, and because these text fields will also generate action events, they are capable of generating action events, so we are implementing action listener interface. Fine. So look at the code that is part of this class. First, we are creating two text fields. So to create any text field, we have a predefined class called text field class, right? We have already seen, we have listed all these components on one fine day in a PPT. So we have to create an object for this predefined class called text field, predefined class called text field for creating a text field in your applet window or any other window. Fine. So how many text fields I'm going to create? Two text fields, one for entering the name of the user and the other one for entering the password for his username or something, right? So I'm not instantiating them initially. First I'm just creating reference variables called name and pass for text field. So two text fields will be created. So, and we have already seen, we have already discussed about label also, right? So what is a label? A label is a text, a simple string of text which will appear before a AWT control. Generally we find this in any web applications, where for example if you take, when you are logging into Gmail, when you open the sign page, it will be asking you to type your username or email ID in a text field, but above that you'll have a label mentioning that what you are supposed to type in this text field. So what is the content that is going to be typed in the text field, right? So that is an example of label. Similarly for password field also, we'll create a label called password in front of it, so that the users of the application will understand that what they are supposed to enter into that text field. So otherwise you'll not be able to understand, right? You simply create empty text fields, one or two fields in your applet window or AWT window, then the user of that application will not understand what to enter in the text field. So you need to mention what the user is supposed to enter in those text field, in each of those text fields that you create in your applet window. Fine. So to mention that, we'll be using something called label. So there is a label class, predefined class, using which you can create labels. Fine. So if you observe, because we are going to create two text fields, we need to create two labels also, one for each of these two text fields. So for the first one, for name text field, I want to create a label, and that label I'm naming it as name p. Similarly, for password field, text field, I'm creating a label called pass p, right? So this is the constructor that I'm using for label. So if you observe, it has two parameters. The first one, the label that you want to give, right? So whatever you give in this double quotes as first parameter, that will appear as label in front of the text field that you want to create, right? Then the second parameter is the alignment of the label, whether the label will be created with some size by default size, but in that entire box for which the label is assigned, you may have alignment, whether you can align that label to the left of that box or to the right or at the center. For example, if you take this text notepad, this entire notepad, fine. So how I am starting to type the text in this, from the left corner of the notepad window. I'm not typing it from the right corner here, right? So I'm typing it from the left side. That means you can say that the text that you have typed in this notepad window is aligned from the left side, right? So similarly, you can also align it to type it at the center of your field notepad window, right? So horizontally, you're typing from left to right. You're not typing from right to left, right? So this is called as left alignment. You can also start typing only at the center, then that will be called as center alignment. You can type it at the end of the screen horizontally to the rightmost corner of the screen, so that will be called as right alignment, fine. So in that way, you can mention the alignment for that label, whether that label has to be aligned to the left or to the right or at the center, by calling this constant static integer variables that are defined in the label class. So a label class defines three different constants which are integer variables. They are integer variables and they are static, right? So because they are static, you can access the variables value, their integer variable value, by simply referring to them with the name of the class that is labeled dot followed by the name of the variable. So the name of the variable is right. So three variables are defined in this way: label dot left, label dot right, and label dot center. So you have these three variables. You can use any of them, right? But I want this at the right, so I'm aligning this one to the right side instead of left. I'm aligning it to the right side. So similarly, I'm creating another label called pass p. So this one, the label string will be password, and this is also aligned to the right, right? So in that way, we have created two labels first, and we have already created reference variables for text fields, that is name and pass, but we have not instantiated them. So now in the next two lines, what I am doing is I am instantiating these two text fields, right, in this way. So the first text field is name, so I'm calling this constructor, one constructor which receives an integer parameter. So this integer parameter specifies the number of characters, number of columns or characters that you can will be displayed on the screen when you type something into the text field. You can type as many characters as you want, but the visibility will be only up to 12, okay? And similarly for pass, I'm creating the size to be 8, so that means you can 8 characters will be visible, fine. Then after creating these text fields and labels, so they are just created but they are not added to the applet window, fine. So before going to add these four fields, that is labels, two labels, the one is name p, the other one is pass p, and two text fields, first one is name and second one is pass, right? So before adding them, one more thing I want to do, because password is a confidential field, whatever password you are typing in the text field must not be visible to the viewers, right? So you know, when you're typing your password in any application, the password that you're typing will not be visible. Instead of that characters that you're typing, a star mark or a dot symbol will be appearing, right? So you can set that whatever text you type in that password field, uh, that should be appeared either as a dot symbol or a star symbol or an asterisk symbol, right? So you can do that by calling a method called set echo char. set echo char, irrespective of what character you type, whether you type alphabets from A to Z, both in uppercase as well as lowercase, or you type 0 to 9 in digits, or you type any other special symbols that are available on your keyboard, but they'll be displayed only in the form of star only, irrespective of what you type, right? So to make that happen, what we need to do is uh, pass password field is referred with what the text field pass, right? So using that object, you call this set echo char method. So you have to follow the naming convention for set echo char. First set word is in small letters, then echo E is capital and char C is capital, and give that a string parameter either in single quote or double quote. You can give this asterisk symbol, right? So because this is a character, I'm giving it in a single quote. If it is a string, I have to give it in a double quote, right? So whatever character you type in the text field, that will be appearing now in the form of a star. Fine. So after doing this, now the next step is to add these labels and text fields to the applet window. So you must be very careful when you're adding this, because they must appear in a particular order. First, we should have a label called, what is the label? Name, right? And after the name label, you must have a text field where you can enter the name of the user. Then after that text field, again you must have another label called password, and after the password label you must have another text field, right? So totally we are adding four components, four AWT controls, two label controls and two text field controls. So how they must be arranged? First one label followed by one text field, then second label followed by second text field. So what is the first label? It must be name, so it is referred with name p, right? So first add name p, you must add name p to the applet window. Then after that, what you need to add? You need to add the first text field, right? That is referred with name, that is referred with name. So you add name second. Then after that, one more label. So the second label is referred with pass p, so add pass p. Then after that, the second text field, so that is referred with pass, so finally add pass. So don't give it in different orders, right? In whatever order you add them, so in the same order they'll be displayed on your applet window. If you add in different order, then they'll appear in the different order only. So in whatever order you want them to be displayed, you add those controls in the same order by calling the add method to add them to the applet window. Fine. So after this is done, now we need to register the listener interface. So what is the listener interface that we are implementing? Action listener, right? So to register action listener interface, this text field class provides us with add action listener method. So uh, call the first text fields listener registration method by using the name variable, name object, name dot add action listener, and pass this keyword. Then similarly for password field, pass dot add action listener. So where did we define all these things? In the init method. So you know that init method is the first method to be invoked when an applet is created, right? So all this is done. We are done with creating two labels and two text fields, and we have added them to the applet window, and we have registered the listener interface also for the two text fields. So now what we need to do? We need to implement the methods of listener interface. So this listener interface, action listener interface implements, it has one method, that is action performed, which receives an object of type action event class. So we need to define that method, and simply what I am doing is I am calling the repaint method. The repaint method will in turn call the paint method. So observe carefully what we are doing in the paint method. So I'm using the draw string method. So you know graphics is a class defined in AWT package, which has some predefined methods for drawing various components on your screen. So we'll not be using most of the time other methods, because we are not going to draw any diagrams here. We are going to draw a string. So to draw a string, you have a method called drawString. So use that graphics object G and call the drawString method. So the first parameter is whatever string you want to draw on the screen, that one, and I'm concatenating it with what? The value returned by getText method. So getText method is part of your text field class, right? So using which you can obtain the text that is entered in the text field. Okay, so when this method will be called? Only when the event is generated and action performed method is called, and action performed method will in turn call repaint method, and the repaint method in turn will call paint method. Only then this part will be executed, right? So when the event will take place, that means when the user will strike the enter button on the keyboard, only after entering the text field values, that is the name and the password field values, after entering them only, then only you'll strike, right? So once he strikes the enter key, what happens is an action event will take place. As a result, action performed method will be executed, and that will call the repaint method. So repaint method is calling the paint method, and the paint method, what is it doing? It is drawing the string returned by the getText method. At which location? At 6 comma 60. Okay, then I'm using another drawString method. I'm calling drawString method once again, this time to display selected text in name. That means once you enter some text in the text field, you can select only some part of the text that you entered, and you can retrieve the text only that is selected, right? So now if you observe in this entire program, you are able to see selected text in name, which is highlighted with a blue color background. So what is this? Now I have selected this text. So in the same way, you can select some part of the text that you entered in the text field of your program in this way, and you can retrieve only that part. The remaining part will not be retrieved. So for that, we have a method called getSelectedText defined in text field. So use that text field object name and call getSelectedText. So if something is selected, that will be returned. If nothing is selected, nothing will be returned, right? A blank string will be returned. So the return type of this method is the string. Even getText method's return type is also a string. So it returns the complete string irrespective of whether you have selected the text or not. It returns whatever string you have entered in the text field. But coming to getSelectedText, it will return only that selected text that you selected in the entered text. And this also is displayed at location at a coordinate 6 comma 80. The previous one was displayed at 6 comma 60. Now you are displaying this one as 6 comma 80. That means you will go to the next line, you will display it below this one, right? 6 comma 80. So x coordinate value will remain same, only y coordinate value will be changing. Fine. So after displaying this, then I am displaying the password also by calling getText method with pass object, right? So password is created using the text field with its name as pass. So use that pass object dot getText, and where is this displayed? at at coordinates 6 comma 100. That means this will be displayed below this one. So we'll have totally three strings displayed on the applet window below the text fields. So one at 6 comma 60, the other one at 6 comma 80, and the third one at 6 comma 100. So now let us execute this program and see the output. Check the output. So what is the name of the class that we have defined here? Text field demo. Let me copy this and let me go to this one, command prompt. So is the command prompt visible now for all of you? So what is the command? Javac space text field demo.java, right? This is how you compile applet program. It is same as a console application, but to run the program you have to use which one? The tool called applet viewer space file name dot java. You need not call the dot class file, you have to refer to the dot java file, right? So this, now you observe a text field is created, right? Sorry, two text fields are created with label you observe the labels name followed by one text field, and then again followed by the first text field another label called password, and again followed by password label you have another text field. So you observe the size of the text fields. First one is with 12 columns, whereas the second one is only with 8 columns, right? So the size of the text field is small when compared with the first text field, because we have given the size to be 12 and 8 respectively, right? So that's why we are unable to we are able to find the difference between the sizes of both the text fields. So initially look at the name and selected text name and password values, they are empty because we have not yet entered anything and we have not performed any event. We didn't strike the enter key on the keyboard. Soon after you strike the enter key on the keyboard after typing uh, some text in both the fields, then only the event will take place and then you will get a response. Fine. So let me enter now here, right? This is the text I'm entering in the name text field, and in the password field I'm entering, say, some password. So are you able to see what I'm typing in the password? No, right? Instead of the text that I typed, what is being displayed there? A star mark is being displayed there, right? So we have done this for what? Because it is a password field, it should not be visible to everyone. So we have done this. So now after entering this one, I'm going to strike the enter key here, right? So look at the output, how it has been changed. So look at the change in the output. So the name is displaying Tarakeshwar. That means whatever I typed in the first text field, that will be as it is displayed. But selected text in name, did I select any text in that text field? I didn't select anything, right? So that's why nothing will be displayed as selected text in the name. And coming to password, you are able to see Rishit, R-I-S-H-I-T-H, Rishit. That is the password that I give. I am extracting these two values and displaying it again in the same applet window. But in real-time application, we'll not be displaying them here, but we'll be uh, sending this to some other class or some methods, which will say, for example, they'll be establishing a connection to a MySQL database and insert these values into the database of the table. So table of the database, right? Then later we can also retrieve them. So that is what we do in real-time application. The passwords will not be visible here like this. They cannot be displayed here. So don't try to create in this way. This is only to demonstrate the working of text fields. Okay, so do not display the passwords and all other sensitive information like this on the applet window. Fine, is that okay for everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now let me perform one more event. So I have entered Tarakeshwar in the first text field. So now I am going to select some part, right? I have selected only up to Tarakesh, right? So now I'll strike enter. So look at the output, how it has been changed. Earlier the selected text in name has a blank string. Now the selected text will have Tarakesh, right? So because I have selected only up to H, only that part will be displayed. Okay. Okay. So now let us move to the second one, that is text area.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, if I want password below the name field, label field.
Yeah. So we have a concept called layout managers, which we have not yet covered. Okay. So after covering all these AWT controls, then we'll see layout managers. But even though we are not using any layout managers here, by default there will be one day layout manager that is going to be used in every applet program or AWT program. So that default layout manager is being used here. So if you want to change the way you lay the components or controls on the screen, you can use that layout manager concept, or even you can specify the location on the window. You can specify the location on the window by using another different constructors, and there are some methods also available in defined in these classes, text field class or label class. Okay, uh, so you can use those methods and you can do that. We'll see later when we cover the layout manager concept. We'll see how to lay them one below the other. Fine, don't worry, that will also be covered. So now look at the second one. So this program will demonstrate creating text area. Can anyone tell me the difference between text field and text area?
Text field is to write single line, whereas text area is for writing paragraph, multiple lines.
Good. Now let us start with this text area. The class that we are defining is text area demo and extends applet class. So we are defining the init method. So we are defining the init method in the text area demo class, which extends applet class. So look at the string. We have created a string variable called val, and that string variable is assigned a multiple line of text till here. Fine. So what is the string there? Java 8 is the latest version of the most widely used computer language for internet programming. Building on a rich heritage, Java has advanced both the art and science of computer language design. One of the reasons for Java's ongoing success is its constant, steady rate of evolution. Java has never stood rapidly changing landscape of the networked world. Java has never stood still. Instead, Java has consistently adapted to the rapidly changing landscape of the networked world. Moreover, Java has often led the way, charting the course for others to follow. So if you observe how many lines of text is there in that string, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines of text is there. At each at the end of each line, you are having a backslash n character, which is a new line character. So what will happen? Even though you type, no matter how much amount of text you type there, so that is going to display only up to that particular letter, before the backslash n character is there. The rest of the thing will be displayed in the next line, right? So totally we have 10 lines of text. Am I right? So this is a string that we are initializing with the variable string variable val. So after that, we are creating text area. How to create a text area? We have a predefined class called text area. So the name of the text area that I am creating, that is the object name, is text. If you observe in the next line, so this is where I am creating the text area, right? So what is the constructor I am using? The constructor, how many parameters are there? 4 parameters are there, right? So the first one is you can create a text field or text area with some default text in it. Even in the text field that we created in the previous program also, we can have some default text that must be passed as first parameter. There are multiple versions of text field constructor, right? So let me show the text field constructor in the PPT that we have seen earlier. So look at the text field constructors. How many constructors are there? 4 constructors are there. First one is a default constructor which does not receive any parameter. So the text field that will be created will have a default size. So because we are not specifying the size of the text field also there, and we are not giving any default string to be displayed in the text field also. Second one is it has one parameter. This is one we have used in our previous program with one integer parameter, that is the number of characters. That means that is going to display that text field with that size, right? Third one is with one string parameter. This is not going to specify any size for the text field, but this text field will have a default text, and what default text you want to display in the text field, that must be passed as a string parameter to that constructor. Coming to the fourth one, you have two parameters. First one is string parameter. This string is nothing but the default text that can be displayed in the text field, and second one is the size of the text field. Fine. So you can, but among these 4 constructors we have used the second one to specify the number of characters for that text field, that is the size of the text field. Okay, we can also use the 4th version so that default text will be displayed. At the same time, you can also specify the size of the text field. Similarly, even in text area also, we can create a text area without any default size and default string inside it with the first constructor here. And look at the second constructor, it has number of lines and number of characters. That means, text area will allow us to type multiple lines of text in that text area. So you can specify how many lines and how many columns, that is the size, the width and height of the text area can be specified using the second constructor. Look at the third constructor. We are giving a string parameter, so this will be similar to the text field where a default string is given. So you can give a default string, and you will not be specifying the size, width and height of the text area, that is number of lines and number of characters in each line. So by default you will have some default number of lines and characters, so default size will be taken if you are using the third constructor. And coming to the fourth constructor, it has one string parameter, that is a default string that will be displayed in the text area, and it has 2 other parameters, both are of integer, where you can specify the width and height of the text area. And coming to the fifth one, it has the default string as first parameter, and it also has the width and height, and it also has another parameter, fourth parameter is also of type integer, s bars, right? So this will specify whether you want to use the scroll bars, both horizontal and vertical scroll bars or not. So if you pass this parameter, by default if you don't pass, that scroll bars will appear for your text field, text area. Even if you don't specify also, that scroll bars will be displayed, but if you don't want them, you can specify with the fourth parameter. Fine. So in our program we have used the fifth constructor, that is the last constructor. Okay, so we have used the last constructor. First one is the default string which is there in val variable. Second one is the width, and third one is the height of the text area, and fourth one is, you observe, just like in text field you have just like in label class you have label dot left, label dot right, label dot center. We also have some integer variables which are static inside this text area class, right? So you have 4 different variables in text area class which are static, so you can access them directly using the name of the class dot followed by the name of the variable. So you have scroll bars none. Scroll bars none is nothing but no scroll bars will be displayed, both horizontal as well as vertical scroll bars will not be displayed. right? So you have another one called scroll bars underscore both, which will display both the scroll bars, that is horizontal scroll bars you'll have and vertical scroll bars also you'll have. If you don't specify this the last parameter, you only specify the first three, then the fourth version of the constructor will be used, which will take only the default string, the width and height of the text area, and by default the fourth one, that is scroll bars, will be displayed. If you don't specify anything, then by default both the horizontal and vertical scroll bars will be created for your text area. Okay, so I don't want the scroll bars, so that's why I'm specifying here text area dot scroll bars underscore none. So because these are static variables and they are declared final, you cannot use a different name. All are given mentioned because it is a predefined variable. Their names are given in capital letters, and between the scroll bars and none you have an underscore. Fine. So after creating this text area, now our turn is to add this text area to our applet window. So how to do that? By calling the add method. And what is the text area that we created? It is nothing but text. So I'm calling the add method and passing text object as parameter to this add method. So this will add my text to the applet window, right? Am I registering any listener interface here? No, because I'm not going to perform any event. This is only just going to display how to create a text area. So text area will be displayed, created, and inside the text area some default text will be displayed. So we are not going to implement any listener interface. So as such, you can see how the class is defined. The class is defined as only public class text area extends applet, right? So the class is defined as public class text area extends applet. We are not implementing any listener interface. So any events that are generated from this applet window will not be handled. Okay. So let me show you the output of this program. First, let me close this previous applet window. The name of the class is text area demo. Look at the text area. You are able to see some some width and height. You're able to see the text area with width and height with default text, whatever we have given for val string variable, that is displayed as it is. Are there any scroll bars, vertical and horizontal? There are no scroll bars. So let us make the change to the program. Let us add scroll bars. So what to do to add scroll bars? Just remove this fourth parameter and use the fourth constructor, which has only three parameters. So make the change and compile the program once again. First close this applet window, then only you will get the prompt here. So once again compile this and now run this. So now you observe there are scroll bars. This is vertical scroll bar and this is horizontal scroll bar. Is that okay? Someone please respond.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Okay. So now what we have done, we have created text field and text area. So one program for creating text field and one program for creating text area. Fine. So if you are okay, if it is okay for you, let us also see one more program, that is for creating checkbox. Shall I continue?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us create checkbox here. So let me close the previous program here and see, look at this. The class is checkbox demo, extends applet, implements item listener, because checkbox will generate what type of event? Item event. Okay, so for that item event class, we have a corresponding listener interface, that is item listener interface. So we need to implement item listener interface. So all this is common for all the previous programs and even here also. So I need not explain this. So let us go into the actual program. First, I'm creating a string variable called message and initializing it to a blank string. Then I'm creating, how to create a checkbox. You have a predefined class called checkbox. So you observe this checkbox is a single word. It is not a multiple words. It will be considered as a single word. So that's why B is not capital here. So you might be thinking that box is another word, so B must be capital letter here, right? But checkbox is a single word. It is not a combination of two words. It is a single word. So that's why only C is capital here. So you know the naming convention in Java, all the class names will begin with capital letter, and if there are multiple words in that name, each word will begin with capital letter, right? So as such, you must get a doubt here, why B is not beginning with a capital letter B, because checkbox is considered as a single word. It is not a combination of two words. Fine. So you can create as many checkboxes as you want by creating as many objects for this checkbox class. So now I want to create 4 checkboxes, right? So one is Windows, another one is, second one is Android, third one is Solaris, and fourth one is Mac. So I just created reference variables for this checkbox. I didn't instantiate them. So now let us go to the init method of the applet. So look how I'm instantiating all the 4 checkbox objects, right? So look at the checkbox object. Let me show you the constructors for checkbox. So these are the constructors for checkbox. So you have first constructor, which is a default constructor which does not receive any checkbox. So a checkbox is a combination of two things. You'll have a square box or rectangular box where when you click on that box, a tick mark will appear, right? So when a tick mark is appearing, we say that the operation is checked. Again, when you click on that, the tick mark will disappear, and this operation is called as unchecking. So a checkbox will be either in a checked state or unchecked state. But for that checkbox, we should also have a label. Just like for text field, we had a label. Even for checkbox also, we must have a label. So a checkbox is a combination of label and at the same time the square box, right? So whatever label you want to give, you can pass it as parameter in the form of a string. But if you observe the first constructor for checkbox class, there are no parameters. It is a default constructor. So a checkbox will be created, but a label will not be assigned for the checkbox. So you can set the label by calling set label method here. You have a set label method. You can use that checkbox object that you created with this constructor and call the set label method, so that the label will be created after checkbox is created, right? So you can do it in two ways. If you don't want to use the set label method, then you can directly use the second constructor, which will also create the label for the checkbox. Fine. And look at the third constructor, checkbox. It receives the first parameter as string, which is nothing but the label for the checkbox. And look at the second parameter, boolean on. So this parameter can be either true or false. If it is true, it indicates that the checkbox will be in a checked state initially after creating it. If it is false, it indicates that it will not be checked, right? So if you don't pass this boolean parameter and use this first second constructor, then by default it will be in unchecked state. Checkbox will be in a unchecked state. If you are using the third constructor, the checkbox, depending on the second parameter, whether it is true or false. If it is true, it will be checked. If it is false, it will be unchecked. And going to the fourth constructor, it has the same string label, and then the status, whether you want the checkbox to be checked or unchecked. And the next parameter, third parameter, is whether you want to create a group, checkbox group or not, right? So you can give this checkbox group by passing checkbox group object. So there is a predefined class called checkbox group, using which you can create radio buttons. So you have to create a radio button object by creating an object for this checkbox group class, and pass that object as parameter, as the third parameter for this constructor. Then all the checkboxes that you're creating will be falling under this checkbox group into a single entity. So that means what? You can only select one option. You cannot select multiple options when a checkbox group is created. But if you are not using this checkbox group, all the checkboxes will be only simply checkboxes. All the checkboxes can be checked as well as unchecked. But whenever you use this fourth constructor and fifth constructor, both are similar. Only thing is the second and third parameters are interchanged. That's it. Everything is same. The functionality of these two constructors is same. Okay, so if you want to make this group of checkboxes into a radio buttons, then you have to use these last two versions of the constructors, that is fourth and fifth version of the constructors. Okay, so if you want to get the state of the checkbox, then you can call get state method. If you want to set the state either to checked or unchecked, you can call the set state. If you want to know the label of the checkbox, you can call get label. If you want to set the label, create the label, then you can call set label method. So let us now go back to the program. So which constructor I'm using? My constructor has three parameters now, checkbox constructor for the Windows, right? First one is the label, second one is null. So which checkbox or which constructor I'm using? Which constructor I'm using? I'm using the fifth constructor. I'm using the fifth constructor, right? Second one is a checkbox group object, which I'm passing as null. You can pass null instead of any object of any class as parameter, right? If you don't want to pass anything, you can pass null. Fine. And the third one is true. So true means what? You want the state of the checkbox to be in a checked state. Fine. So why I am passing null here? Because I don't want to make this checkbox a radio button. So that's why I am passing as null. Instead of that, you can use the second version or third version of the constructor also. Fine. But I want to show you how to use it. That's why I've used that one. And coming to the second checkbox, Android, I'm using only the second version of the constructor by just giving the label of the checkbox. Label of the checkbox will be Android, right? First one is the label is Windows. Second checkbox label is Android. Third checkbox label is Solaris, and fourth checkbox label is Mac OS, right? So this is how we created 4 checkboxes. Totally, we have created 4 checkboxes. So we have just created. Now the next step is we have to add these checkboxes to the applet window. So what is the method we need to use for it? The add method. right? So I'm adding in whichever order you want to add these checkboxes. So in the same order, you call these add methods and pass those respective objects, checkbox objects, to this method. First, I want Windows to be displayed. Then after that, Android, and then after that, Solaris, and finally Mac. So this is the order I'm displaying. So after this, we need to register the listener interface, right? So we have a method called, because this is going to generate item listener and we are implementing item listener interface for our class. So what is the method that can be used for registering a listener interface? Add listener interface name. So add item listener. So you're passing this keyword as parameter to this method. So for all the 4 checkboxes, I'm calling the add item listener method. So all these checkboxes are now registered with, they have registered the item listener event, right? So whenever you perform an action, that is you change the state of this checkbox to a checked state or unchecked state, each time you change, what will happen, an item listener interface item event will be generated, and you will have some methods, right? So one method is defined in this listener interface, that is item listener interface, and that method name is item state changed, right? So you know that all these methods will be public and the return type will be void. The name of the method is item state changed. S and C are capital here in item state changed, and this will receive the corresponding event object, that is item event. Okay. Then what you are doing in this method, you are just making a call to repaint method. This repaint method will in turn call paint method. So in the paint method, we have defined earlier at the beginning of our program a string variable called msg and initialized to a blank string. So now what I'm doing is I'm changing the msg content to current state followed by a colon symbol and a space. Then I'm calling the drawString method, which will display this message current string at coordinate 60, 80. And then I'm uh, changing the content of the message string to Windows followed by colon concatenated with Windows dot get state. So I just before I told you what is the purpose of get state. So get state method will return uh, whether the state is whether the checkbox is checked or unchecked. So that is going to return in the form of a string, and that string will be concatenated to Windows, right? Similar when and where I am displaying this message at 6, 100. Earlier I have displayed this current state at 6, 80. Now I am displaying the status of Windows checkbox, whether it is checked or unchecked, at 6, 100. Now the other one is message is equal to Android concatenated with Android dot get state. So this will be displayed at 6, 120. Similarly for Solaris, I'm obtaining the state of that Solaris checkbox also and displaying it at 6, 140. And finally Mac OS, I'm displaying it at 6, 160. Okay, so I hope you understood this one. So okay, everything is common, only thing is we are changing the message content and displaying the state of all these 4 checkboxes. First one is Windows, second one is Android, third one is Solaris, and finally the fourth one is Mac OS. So now let us execute, compile this program and see the output. So before, let me copy that class name. What is the class name? Checkbox demo. We have successfully compiled. So now look at this one. 4 checkboxes are created: Windows, Android, Solaris, and Mac. Right. So if you observe, Windows is by default checked because for creating Windows checkbox, we have used the fourth version of constructor, and we have set the third parameter as true, which means the window checkbox state will be checked. So if it is true, it will be in a checked state. but for the remaining checkboxes we didn't use that state, so by default they'll not be selected. Fine. And look at the current state of all these four checkboxes. Windows is true because it is checked. Android, Solaris and Mac OS are all false. So now whenever I click on this Windows checkbox, the state will change. So you observe now the state of Windows checkbox is false. Now I'll click on Android, so it becomes true, and then I'll click on Solaris, so that also will become true, and Mac OS, then that also will become true, and finally I'm checking Windows also, everything are true. So again if I click, so what is happening when you click on this checkbox, an item event will take place, right? And as a result, what method will be called? Item state changed method will be called, and an item event object will be passed as parameter to that method, and using that method or that object you can call those methods. Get state method, right? So what is get state? It will return either true or false. If it is checked, it will return true. If it is unchecked, it will return false. Fine. Is that okay? Understood everyone?
Yes, sir.